Good afternoon, I'm Vashan Brown with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. Don't wait until it requires a state of emergency. That's the call from stakeholders in Brownstown, St. Anne, as criminals are again plaguing that and adjoining areas. Students are among recent victims, as gunmen seem to be outsmarting and outnumbering the police. Here's TVJ's Prince Moore.
Compared to other police divisions, St. Anne's crime figures have not been as high. However, for residents and business operators in the parish, the numbers are inching up and need to be addressed urgently. For Justice of the Peace Anthony Charlie, the once peaceful Brownstown is no more because migrating criminals have infiltrated the parish.
It's not only alarming that gunmen are in the town robbing, but they are now robbing school children, which is a new law.
In addition to students being robbed, in June this year, the principal of the St. Hilda's High School in Brownstown was robbed and stabbed on the school compound. Mr. Charlie laments that 4 months later, her attacker has not been held.
Still at large, and the last count I have is that he has robbed 4 to 5 other women since that incident.
The principals of York Castle High and Brownstown High Schools have called on the police to take a stronger stance to include more patrolling. However, Mr. Charlie believes the government and the police high command need to proactively allocate resources to urgently nip the crime problem in the bud.
We need help. And if we don't get help, it is going to go to a place where we're going to have to now bring in Zozo or something like that to help stem the crime.
Atop his list of necessities, more motor vehicles for the police. He says the CIB was given 1 new vehicle recently, but that being the only reliable vehicle in the area, it is used for errands, even into Kingston at times. That, he believes, is crippling the ability of the police to respond.
When you call the station, most time, boy, them don't have a vehicle. Or the patrol is out, but they'll try and get a call to the patrol. I can't help you. By that time, you're in a shootout, you're dead or you're injured or you know, we're not proactive, we are reactive. We need to be proactive. We need to set the pace as to how the place is to run.
He suggests that at least 2 additional vehicles are needed to make the police better able to respond. Prince Moore, TVJ News.
19 alleged members of the Westmoreland-based Dexter Street gang have been released. They were freed yesterday after the Director of Public Prosecution's DPP entered a nolle prosequi in the matter. The DPP argued that she was unable to pursue the case as the main witness cannot be located. It's believed that he's been killed. Members of the Dexter Street gang were charged last year under the anti-gang legislation. This followed a 1-year probe by CTOC into gang activities in Westmoreland. The cops had reported that members of the Dexter Street gang were involved in murders, shootings, and robberies in the parish. Investigators also reported that a shipment of 19 guns intercepted at Kingston Container Terminal in 2017 was destined for the gang. More than 4,000 rounds of ammunition were also intercepted. In the meantime, the Jamaica Constabulary Force says solid police work was done in the preparation of the case. In justifying their stance, they say every effort was made by the police to have the main witness placed under the Witness Protection Program. However, they say the individual resisted police protection and eventually disappeared altogether. Meanwhile, Acting Deputy Commissioner in charge of crime, Fitz Bailey, expressed disappointment with the outcome of the case.
I mean, we understand that it's about justice, and if the witness is not available, then the right thing is for the person to be allowed to restart their life. I know we have put out a lot of effort, the investigators, and I really want to commend them for the work that they have done, because I am satisfied that they did an excellent investigation in the matter.
He says the police have not verified that the main witness was killed. 2 men were shot, one fatally yesterday afternoon in Paradise, Norwood in St. James. Now, the deceased has been identified as 53-year-old Herbert Black. It's reported that Mr. Black and another man were at a shop when a man walked up and opened fire at them. The gunman escaped. The injured men ran from the scene. The body of Mr. Black was found a short distance away in the road, while the other man was found beside the shop with a bullet wound to the face. He remains in hospital. Now this brings the number of murders in St. James to 113 since January. Attorney Hugh Wildman, who represents President of the Caribbean Maritime University CMU, Fritz Pinnock, believes his client will have a strong civil case against the state. Mr. Wildman, who filed a leave for judicial review seeking to quash the charges brought against Mr. Pinnock and former Education Minister Royal Reid, made the disclosure at a press briefing on Tuesday.
About the nullity of the charges, where they would have had that powerful case of false imprisonment and malicious prosecution. And that would be possibly millions of dollars, given what was that they were subjected to.
So, based on the development,
yes,
has there been any indication from your client
yes.
filing a lawsuit against the state?
I'm quite sure when we get to that stage, we'll get to that bridge. But I know that my clients are looking in every direction, including that direction.
And it's now time for a break, but stay with us. More stories right after these messages. Welcome back, continuing the news. Residents of Treadways in St. Catherine and surrounding communities have promised more protests if their calls for their roads to be fixed are not addressed urgently. The people protested, blocking the train line on Tuesday, complaining that for as long as 30 years, the roads have not been fixed. They add that despite promises of redress following a protest last year, nothing has been done, so they're taking action.
Last meeting we have at York Street Primary, they asked us to give them 2 months for the pressure testing of the pipe, and that has been past 1 year and 2 months now. I haven't seen them back. They have promised us for the gas tax. The gas tax was designated for the road, and we have nothing from that. So we are saying to the MPs, we are saying to Mr. Pickersgill, as a 7-star general, we not take no more from you.
The people contend that uncleaned drains worsened an already bad situation.
Pass it come in and the car then can't pass. So we need wall for block off the river bed here so we are come through the lane.
Police eventually cleared the roadblock and the bauxite train belonging to alumina company Windalco was allowed to resume operations. There is another push for the use of sugar lands other than for housing. Opposition member Fitz Jackson raised questions about the National Ethanol Project as part of the Vision 2030 goal of increasing the country's renewable energy supply. The issue was discussed at Tuesday's Public Accounts Committee meeting, where Principal Director in the Energy Ministry Fitzroy Vidal pointed to a study which looked at Jamaica's sugar, rum and ethanol targets.
And the study identified that we had enough agricultural land available. If it was put back into production, we could meet all three comfortable. And the importance of that is that while the rum market is what is drawing the current demand, just about for everything that is produced now, if we were to put back all available lands into production, we could meet all three targets. Again, that's just something that the new policy will have to consider seriously going forward.
A family in New Building, St. Elizabeth, is now homeless after fire destroyed their home last night. As you'll hear in this report, it's still not clear how the fire started.
This charred structure is what's left of the place Nadine Austin Clark and her 15-year-old daughter once called a home. On Tuesday night, the 5-bedroom dwelling was damaged by a fire. Ms. Clark says at the time of the fire, she was on the road when a church sister called her.
She called me. Me never surprised at her call because she's just like that to me. And when she called me, she said, "How you do, my baby?" Me say, "Me down the road as usual with my baby." And she said some more words to me until she said, "Yeah, what happened, my new pan?" Me said, "No." And she said, "New pan?" And me said, "No." And she said, "Me say your house is on fire." But she coaxed me before she tell me. And then on my way coming up now, other people start telling me.
No one was at home at the time of the incident and nothing was saved. The Junction Fire Station responded. However, a team from the Santa Cruz station had to assist with cooling down efforts.
We combat the blaze in about 25 minutes. Our preliminary investigation revealed that about 7 million him lost and 5.5 content in there was damaged, 5.5 million.
However, it's not clear what started the fire.
One thing I know, I think they doesn't have any current here, for sure. So I don't know if anything left. I don't know.
So I choose this year though me come, you understand me, Evangelist, and when me are going, me fry some dumplings for my boys, so I'm sure the gas turn off.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Acting principal for the Cross Keys High School in Manchester, Georgia Wall Richards, is celebrating marked behavioral and academic improvements among students, which she attributes to several initiatives at the institution. Now, she spoke to TVJ News following a recent prayer breakfast to launch the school year. She noted that in recent times, fights were a major issue at the school.
Not just ordinary fights, fights with weapons. And in any 1 week, you could expect to have anywhere between 10 to 15 of these kinds of fights. And today, we are down to we don't see fights every week anymore. The data will show that maybe 2 or 3 fights every month. What we're not seeing, the weapons are not being used. If they are here, they are concealed well. But from our spot checks and our other interventions, we are not seeing those weapons coming into school.
She says the school is taking a Christ-centered approach as it operates this year under the theme Excellence Without Compromise. Addressing the prayer breakfast, South Manchester MP Michael Stewart commended the school's focus as critical in helping to keep youngsters away from crime and reducing the need for more states of emergency. Meanwhile, the acting principal notes that while the school is still not where it needs to be, students have been showing academic improvement.
English language, for example, was moved by 13% this year in external exams. We find, too, that as a result of the number of interventions that we have put in place, our students are now showing more interest in the academic affairs. The assignments are now coming in more frequently and more on time.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In the next edition of the Health Report, we look at nutrition during cancer treatment.
When somebody is given the diagnosis of cancer, or sometimes we say the big C, it strikes fear in our hearts, and people will grasp at straws. And that means whoever is out there saying, drink this, don't drink that, eat this, people will do it, especially when the traditional health profession may not be offering good answers. I'm saying nutrition has a part to play at every stage, from prevention to treatment to post-treatment.
That's the Health Report this evening in Primetime News. And now for today's healthy living tip. Eat small meals throughout your day. Don't wait until you're hungry to eat. Keep your favorite foods close at hand and make your meals look appealing.
And time now for sports. Atlantic Sharks, Casaca and Jamaica University all recorded impressive wins as the Jamaica Table Tennis Association National Premier League served off at the weekend. Atlantic Sharks, led by Peter Muyong, upset the highly fancied UTEC Knights by 3-1. Muyong defeated former national champion Kane Watson 9-11, 11-6, 8-11, 11-7 and 11-8. Christopher Marsh made it 2-0 for the Sharks with a commanding 11-6, 7-11, 11-9, 8-11 and 11-7 win over Mark Phillips. However, the Knights came back as Kane Watson and Paulton Madden battled their way to a thrilling 3-2 win over Christopher Marsh and Alfonso Morris in the doubles match. Morris then wrapped up the match, beating Mark Phillips in the reverse singles 11-4, 8-11, 11-9 and 11-8. Muyong, who is also the tournament sponsor, says he hopes players see the importance of the Premier League.
Locally before you can, and have a lot of competition before you can represent the country internationally. So we see this as a chance for people to have regular competition and to sharpen their skills. I understand that we're planning to play in the Caribbean Champs next year, and this is one of the many competitions that we hope that the players will participate in, so we have to maintain the local standard.
Former national champion Kane Watson also support the move to have the Premier League.
If you look at the model of all sports have a league all across the world, whether it's domestic, international, continental, but to have a league is a must, and this is definitely a move in the right direction.
In other men's matches, Kasaka beat Southborough by 3-0 in the best-of-5 games. Michael had a similar success over Caribbean Palms. In the women's section, Michael defeated Southborough by 3-2. And that's the Midday News. I'm Vashon Brown. Join us at 7 for Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports and production team, have a good afternoon.